Hi there, everyone. It's Wendy McClelland. Just sitting here in my office this afternoon. I just had the opportunity to do two really cool podcasts with two amazing interviewers. I will post the links to those as soon as they're live. And it got me thinking. Both the interviews asked me about my book, 27 Steps to Freedom. There it is. And one of the questions they asked me was, what is one of the lessons that you learned during recovery from this critical illness that I had? And one of the lessons that I learned during that time is about overcoming fear and facing my fears. And one of the things I see with a lot of entrepreneurs today that I speak with or that I hear even at networking events, you walk by a group of people chatting and you'll hear them having a conversation and things come out like, oh, I could never do that. No, that's too big for me. That's not who I am. And all of these things, they come from one place, and that one place is fear. And fear holds people back in every area of their life more than we would want to believe. Whether it's fear of trying a new food. Have you ever tried to get a toddler to eat something they're not used to? Or fear of growing your business. Well, I'm just a small business. I really can't use an assistant. But if you hired an assistant to do the mundane day-to-day tasks, think of how big your business could grow. So I decided today was going to be the day that I talked to you a little bit about fear and a technique and a strategy that I use when I face fears in my own life today, every day. Of course, something's going to scare you. And I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt who said, do something every day that scares you. And I try to do that. So I wanted to share with you a little technique that I developed when I was at probably one of the most fearful points in life that anyone can face, is when doctors told me I might not survive. And at this time, I was a mom with 3 kids under the age of, I think my son was only about 14 at the time. And so I had to really look at, oh my gosh, I could die here. Of course, I was afraid to die, but with my faith, I wasn't really afraid to die. I knew where I was going and I was comforted with that. But beyond that, my biggest fear was leaving my children. I had these 3 amazing kids and I'd already been away from them for, at that point, probably 2 months and many more months to come after this. But I thought, okay, if I'm going to die, the worst thing that can happen is I'm leaving my children. So how did I move beyond that fear? Well, I thought back to my own life. My mom had died when I was 8 years old. And I had an amazing father, still do. And I had a grandmother who came and helped look after us kids. And she was a little spitfire of a Scottish woman who just really encouraged and loved us. And then I was so lucky. A few years later, my dad remarried an amazing woman who's now my mom. And so I knew, okay, if I'm gone, there's still going to be a community of people around my children. They're going to have their dad. They're going to have his wife, their stepmom. They're going to have my parents, other grandparents, aunts and uncles and neighbors and community. So I knew they wouldn't be alone. But I think for me, the bigger thing was I didn't want to leave my children not knowing me. And if I wasn't there, how would that happen? So I thought I can make videos for my kids. And you've probably heard of people doing this, leaving a video diary and video messages for children when they reach milestones in their life, whether it's their birthdays or their graduation or a prom or weddings or babies. So I knew I had some solutions here. There was things I could do to make this better. And what I want to encourage you today to do is, if there's something that you're afraid of, most people tell me they're afraid of something or they'll talk about it in a conversation, but they never really identify what they're afraid of. So your number one step is identify what you're afraid of. And then create a strategy, create a plan. Ask yourself, how do I work around this fear? I'm afraid of someone finding out that I really don't know as much as they think I do. Well, yes, you do know as much as you think you do. You are smarter than you believe you are. And once you figure out what your fear is, then do some research. Do you need to take a course in Toastmasters? Do you need to take a course in self-empowerment? Do you need to learn a new skill so that you can offer your clients more? Do you need to learn to communicate better with your spouse? Whatever the fear is that's holding you back from living that full life that you were given, figure out what it is and come up with a strategy. I know so many people, and I'm sure you do too. And I've been in this situation myself where I've had a job that I really didn't like. And every day I'd think, oh, I know the company's losing money. the industry's changing. I could be out of a job, but I don't really like the job, so I'm afraid to. I don't want to lose this job, even though I don't really like it. If you're in that situation, your number one goal is to find a new job, but not leave the one you have yet. Figure out what is you really want to do and start to build your plan B. I can tell you, and probably if my employers ever see this, my ex-employers, they probably wouldn't be too happy to hear this, but every job I've ever had, I've had a business on the side. I think that's only smart. Have a business on the side. You are then in control of your own destiny. So whatever fear you're facing, face it, figure out exactly what it is, and create a plan B and a strategy to move beyond it. So that's just my little, I guess, lesson, words of wisdom for the day. And I hope it's encouraged you. And I hope that you will realize that you don't have to live in a state of fear. You can move beyond it. So that's all I've got today. I hope it's been enlightening for you, and I look forward to chatting with you again. This is Wendy McClellan signing off.